Y'all, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you are learning a language, you can absolutely choose the accent that you're learning. But not only that, you can have more than one accent. I mean, why not have fun with it? Maybe one will grow on you more the more you use it. So maybe you start off with one accent and then you give another one a try and you're like, oh, I like this a lot more. But then you discover another one and you say, hey, I'll give that one a try, and you like it even more than the other two. So it's a nice exercise for your mouth because you practice pronouncing the same things in different ways. And it also makes it so that your mouth maybe gets used to different vowels. And this sort of practice can help you when you go learn another language, and can also help you to understand people and maybe where they come from. So I'm pretty good at when I hear someone speak, I speak their language. I'm pretty good at being like, hey, you're from South China, for example, or you're from like Beijing, right? That sort of thing. And or you're from, like Guangzhou, Hong Kong, that sort of thing. I'm pretty good at that because one, I've gotten enough exposure and I've tried to pay attention to how people are talking, and I've tried on some different accents. Similarly, in Spanish, I originally had probably an American accent, you'd probably call it, but then through exposure, with people that I was working with, I started to pick up like a Mexico City accent, but now I have a northern Dominican accent that I use from the north of the Dominican Republic, like the Cibao Valley. For Chinese, I could do like a Taiwanese accent. I could do like a Guangzhou accent. I could definitely do a standard accent and a Beijing accent, and then maybe even like a more northeastern accent than Beijing. So it's not just the way that you pronounce things; it's also words that they use. So, for example, 东西 is the word for thing in standard Mandarin, but in northeast China, I mean further northeast than Beijing, they say 1 yi, but they'll put in r on the end, so it's 1 year. So 1 year is the word for thing in northeast China. You won't hear that. You didn't used to hear that as much in Beijing as you do now, and the northeast accent has become a lot more prevalent than it used to, due to some television series that featured that accent, and long running. It's been very famous in China, and so some people have started to play with that sort of accent. Traditionally, though, people would not get as much exposure to that. It would sound very maybe off to the ear in a sense, because it's kind of like you take the standard accent and you kind of take it to a little bit to an extreme. But what people usually get used to is they get used to like Cantonese and that sort of accent. And there's kind of a general Southern accent. Cantonese is very different from that general Southern in a sense, in the way that they change the way they pronounce things. So anyways, I don't know. For me, that's very fun. It's to pay attention to try and pick up on and try to use. And it increases your awareness and your ability to learn other languages, because you can hear something and you can liken it to what you've experienced, right? When you learn new things, you can liken it to things that you've experienced. You can only work within the realm of your experience. So if you experience more things, you've got more to liken it to, and so it makes you more adaptable, more flexible. Just some thoughts on the subject. I would be curious to hear if anybody out there has tried multiple accents. If you have, feel free to tell me about it in the comments. If not, if you've got an accent in another language, I would love to hear that. One foreign language that you've gone and learned, I would love to hear about it. And I also really like to always emphasize that, hey, remember, when you go and are learning language, you choose an accent, you explore different accents. You can use music, you can use podcasts, you can use YouTube channels, and etc. to try and explore that accent. I just want you to be creative, because sometimes when you get into certain accents, the materials while there's a lot out there right now, and so it's a lot better than it used to be. Um, some accents may not be as readily available, so you may have to get kind of creative to try and get exposure effectively. And an example of that might be Louisiana French. If you're interested in Louisiana French, well, then it might be a little bit difficult, but since COVID, I would say it's gotten a lot easier to get exposure to that than it used to be. You used to have very few resources for that particular accent, for example. So, anyways, if you got some resources for learning unusual accents, that might be an interesting topic for another video, or something to talk about with me about in the comments. Let me know. Anyways, until next time, y'all take care now. Bye-bye.